Okay. Hi, everyone. We should be live now. So happy Friday. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're tuning in from. Before we jump into Laravel Cloud Office Hours, I'd love to know kind of where you are tuning in from. And hopefully you can't hear me 20 million times, like I just heard myself 20 million times because I had a tab open.
I literally went in and muted my tab because I started hearing double.
I can still hear myself, so I'm gonna find where that is. Where am I? Okay, hold on. Oh
I want to see how many tabs you have open now.
no. I don't know why I can still hear myself. But welcome in, Dave. Hi, Dave. Hi, Dave Allen Music from Canada. I bet it's really cold in Canada today.
Yeah, it's moving down to my neck of the woods soon.
Okay, I'm going to. This is going to drive me crazy. I can still hear it. This is so bad. Where am I? Oh, it's going to be here. Okay, I'm going to close it. I'm going to close all of these tabs.
I am not ready for this storm. Not at all, Dave. It's gonna be ridiculous. My my grandmother is flying in from Myrtle Beach just in time to bring that weather with her. So
Oh no. Is it supposed to hit your area really badly?
yeah, we're supposed to get like 25 inches of snow Sunday into Monday, which I think the
Oh,
last time Connecticut saw 25 inches of snow was, I don't know, a decade ago.
that does not sound fun. It's snowing here, but it's like not much because I'm in Colorado. So we're
Yeah,
not
I mean,
getting hit with that storm.
I mean, your snow plows are literally snow blowers, so we know you
Yeah.
guys get snow.
See, yeah, Devon does have the exclusive beanie on. Also, I found the tab. I don't hear myself now. So we're
Yes,
cooking now.
winning.
But Devon has the Laravel AI San Francisco meetup exclusive beanie on.
And I sat front row. That was awesome.
Jason, we are on YouTube. We should be live on the Laravel YouTube. Does anyone? I mean, I see comments from YouTube, so we should be live here on YouTube.
That's
I don't
pretty
know if
cool.
Jason's trolling me or not. Also,
Very
hi.
possible.
It is very possible. Hey, Roxy, how are you doing? Yeah, the beanie is really, really cool. I hope we like bring those at more meetups and conferences. Also, Devin, Dave has you. He said his snowblower is gassed up and ready. So just ask
Yeah,
Dave to come over.
yeah, Dave. Just drive over. It is what it is. Actually, little spoiler: I bought a all electric snowblower 2 years ago, so I don't even have to gas mine up anymore. It's always ready.
And also, hi, Mohammed from tuning in from the is it Maldives? 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 I like read words and then I'm like, how else can I pronounce this? Okay. And yeah, Roxy, we both have our Ella PHP fonts, the elephants, in the background. I think we have different ones. I have a
And the
Sentry one.
creeper. Mine's a century one too.
Okay, we have the same one. And then I have the
Hmm.
Laracon US 2024 one.
Yeah, I didn't get that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, Sashi, I do think Jason was trolling me. But he is here on YouTube now. Maldives. Okay, I think you're right, Jason. I think you're right.
Hmm.
Roxy got the Vonage one, which I am jealous. I wanted the Vonage one, but you had to like sign up for a quiz. Okay. Now we have some people tuning in. Let's go ahead and kind of jump into Laravel Cloud Office Hours today. So, hi everyone. Like I just said, we're going to be doing Cloud Office Hours. So, we'll be answering questions that you have about Laravel Cloud. My name is Leah Thompson, and I am a DevRel engineer here at Laravel. And I do things like streams and kind of manage our online communities. I also talk at conferences and stuff like that. And I'm here today with Devon Garbalosa. Devon, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks. Devon Garbalosa. I work for Laravel as a solutions engineer. So that's fancy speak for I work on our sales team doing the technical implementations for our enterprise clients.
And what is your kind of expertise with Laravel Cloud and kind of infrastructure in general?
Yeah, so my expertise kind of tangents both AWS and the enterprise side of Laravel Cloud. So people who are trying to bring over workloads that need to interface with bespoke AWS services that they need to be able to connect to privately through networking and things like that. I help to come up with the roadmap and the plan for how to do that and how to get everything connected. So it's pretty cool stuff. But yeah, a lot of back end. How do we make things talk to each other?
Mm-hmm. But that helps, especially whenever we see like really specific cloud questions of like how cloud would work for them and for their setup and stuff. I feel
Mhm.
like that really helps for that. And yeah, today we're just here to do kind of cloud office hours. It's more casual, but we're here to answer any questions you have specifically about Laravel Cloud. If you have any general Laravel ones, we might try to answer them as well, but more specifically focusing on questions you might have about cloud, showing how to do things in the cloud UI based on questions we get. This is not really like for polished demos. It's more just community help. We're here live with you all answering questions live. We do have a Slido where you can put questions in, and that Slido is linked in the description. It should be linked on the description on all of our socials that we're currently streaming from, or at least LinkedIn and YouTube. I know it is. You can also just drop your questions in chat and we'll answer them from there as well. And the rough timing for the stream is we'll be on for about an hour. So until about 10 a.m. Mountain Time, which would be noon Eastern. And I think it'd be 5 p.m. UTC.
I think you're
Okay.
right.
Yeah. Like trying to know the time zones. It's like weird because when I was trying to convert the time we were streaming to UTC, it was telling me, I was like, no, it would be 5 p.m. UTC. And I was like, but we're in EST. So, and then it was like, oh, since you're in EST, it would actually be 4 p.m. So
Yeah,
because we do the daylight savings and stuff, it really messes up the conversions.
yeah. Then you go to Arizona and they don't do it, so then it gets even more
I
confusing.
know it makes it confusing when I talk to Josh because Josh is like, because normally we're on the same time zone, but then we'll show up to the DevRel sync sometimes, and he's like, "Yeah, it's like 8 a.m. here," and I'm like, "How?" And then I remember. So hi, Cynthia. We have Cynthia here. Let's see. Oh, Muhammad already has a good question. Where is it? Okay, we can go ahead and link this. Mohammed asked, I use Laravel Cloud for a point cell system. My only concern is I need a better MySQL solution similar to AWS Aurora V2 serverless. Any idea I could have such a solution in Laravel Cloud?
It's a great question. So Laravel Cloud now offers what we call Laravel Private Cloud, which allows you to VPC peer to existing AWS resources. So that would be the way that you could actually do that. And then the other thing that's coming is sometime later this year, we are launching Aurora support for AWS. I'm sorry, for private cloud. And so we have RDS MySQL coming, I believe, in the days to weeks time zone, and then Aurora is later this year.
And when you say private cloud, that is part of our like cloud enterprise, correct?
Yeah, so people enterprise is a very ambiguous word for a lot of people. So enterprise is kind of more you have bespoke requirements, you have some scaling things that you're looking at. So we do host that under enterprise, and so there are a lot of people in the Laravel community that have businesses that would hit our enterprise before they would call themselves an enterprise. So
Mm-hmm.
don't let that scare you away. Yeah, and so the private cloud is basically our offering that we have where we can set up dedicated compute to kind of isolate you, which allows us to do cool things like VPC peer to existing resources, and then not everybody else on cloud has access to your VPC, your other resources. So
And where would people go to learn more about private cloud?
yeah, so you go to cloud.laravel.com/enterprise.
We love that. I set that up specifically because I did work on the enterprise page, but yeah, we do have a like an enterprise um, landing page on the cloud website now where you can go to learn more about that. And we have little like boxes that explain the different offerings for
Yeah.
like the cloud enterprise, such as the VPC peering and private cloud and everything that Devon mentioned.
Yeah. Private cloud, dedicated compute, private networking,
Mm-hmm.
all of that
With
fun stuff. And it's beautiful. Our designers did an amazing job.
yeah, yeah. Tilly did great. I think Faye helped with
Hmm.
the different illustrations for cloud, and it's beautiful. Also, hi Florian. We have Florian here. Sorry we started a little early without you, Florian.
Yeah.
But I was
Sorry,
stalling
man.
until you got here. Also, hi Pushback, who will be on stream next week with me going over Boost V2, as well as on the Laravel Worldwide Meetup stream next week. And Mohammed had another follow-up question. Nice. Due to this limitation, I'm looking to switch my database to AWS this week. That means I could have serverless MySQL through private cloud.
Yeah, so later this year, you could have it direct through private cloud once we roll out the support for Aurora. But for now, you could get private cloud set up and we can VPC peer to that AWS account and get you access from Laravel private cloud to that existing MySQL serverless that you have with AWS.
We love to hear that. Try to make sure I haven't missed any other questions. While we're waiting for more questions to come in too, let's like briefly kind of talk about like an overview of what cloud is.
Yeah.
Um, so Laravel Cloud is a fully managed platform for running Laravel apps. It allows you to focus on reducing server and infrastructure work because you don't have to like handle over all that overhead yourself. Devon, how would you explain Laravel Cloud, and how would you also kind of compare it to Forge? Like who is Laravel Cloud for?
Yeah, so I think the superpower that Laravel Cloud offers that's unlike any other experience is that you can get the power of creating ecosystems and platform that you need to launch your applications without having to understand advanced networking and provisioning and DevOps and all of that. And so it really takes something that you would have to potentially, as your growing company, hire multiple different roles and different skill sets to do. And you could put that in the hands of a Laravel artisan that understands Laravel and
Mhm.
make it really easy for them to launch a very scalable product, very easy. I think the easiest way that I like to kind of make the comparison for people of if you're considering Forge or if you should go cloud is if you had to spend the next 40 hours of your time going deep on building your product or going deep on deploying your infrastructure, what would you rather do? If the answer is deep on building your product, cloud's for you.
What do you think about like for people who are thinking of migrating? Like we did a stream on Wednesday, time so fake, but Wednesday this week with Eric Barnes, where he migrated Laravel News Live from Laravel Forge to Laravel Cloud, and we got a lot of questions during that stream of why someone would consider moving from Forge to Cloud and when it makes sense to migrate. So, what do you think about that?
Yeah, so I think that there is a few different ones. One that I come across often as I'm talking to people who are on Forge that are looking to move to cloud is they hit this point where their application was doing great on a server and they had their database, their Redis cache, their Nginx, all of that on one server, and it did really well. But now they're at the point where that one server, they either have to upscale it and it's going to cost exponentially more to vertically scale that, or they have to start thinking about horizontal scale. And when you do that on Forge or in any other kind of server provider, you now have to add a load balancer as its own thing. And then you have to have your two app servers. Then you need to have the single database server. And so you really end up going kind of in this pattern where your scale has a lot more competencies that you have to check the box on to do that.
Mhm.
And cloud really just lets you do that from the canvas really easily. And so you can set up, you have, here's my app compute, here's my worker compute, here's my database, here's my Redis cache, and then each one of those on cloud is individually scalable. And
Mhm.
so that way you can kind of just leave the thinking of like, oh, my SaaS just blew up overnight. What do I got to do? I got to go add 5 servers. No, you just increase your auto scaling, and it just takes that and grows it. So it just takes a lot of the thinking out of like, how do I make this bigger and better? It does it for you.
Mhm. I know for me personally, that's why I've always used cloud for like any of my side projects because I didn't want to go deep into the into the infra stuff. I might for fun this year, but I just like that you don't have to really think about
Yeah,
it. Yeah, like Jason said, I like things that make me think less.
same.
Exactly. or like lets me spend more time on the things like I need to or like I
Yes.
want to.
Yeah.
So hi Ryan, welcome in. Daniel said my concern is the industry price.
Industry price. That's an interesting one. I guess I'd ask, what do you mean by industry price? Are you saying that it has a like a higher cost of running the infrastructure on cloud versus like Forge or having a server yourself? If that's kind of the concern, I definitely agree with you. For a lot of things, a virtual private server is going to be more purely economical, right? You're going to pay for a server. Maybe you go to DO, you get a droplet for $6 a month, and that holds your database, your cache, your app, and it'll do a lot for you. And that that definitely is an economical solution for a lot of people and for starting out. I think where it starts to kind of go different is where we were talking how you need to scale that now. So you need one server to do your database. You need one server to do your cache. You need now 3 servers to do your app load and one server to be your load balancer. Now, not only do you have to pay for all of those individually just to be able to get all those services, but you also have to manage all of those independently. And that comes with mental tax. And so I think that's where cloud gets rid of that, is that it does have a little bit more of an upfront expense for some of those things, but it does also get rid of a lot of that mental tax that you have to have, and just the knowledge too.
Mm-hmm. And we also, like, if you want to get a better idea of how much it would cost to host your application on cloud, we do have a pricing calculator on the
Yes.
website as well that you can use to kind of see how much it would cost depending on if you add certain resources and like change the sizing of the resources and stuff to see the cost go up or down. Also, like it allows you to see like, okay, if I turned on hibernation here, how much would my costs go down? Stuff like that. So we do have that really nice pricing calculator as well. And then we have a question from Florian. How awesome are Laravel Cloud preview environments? This doesn't feel like a biased question at all.
Yeah, I don't. It's not like Florian uses these or helped create them or anything. I don't know what he's talking about. Preview environments, honestly though, all jokes aside, are probably one of the coolest features that Laravel Cloud has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, you can set up automation rules on your GitHub or Bitbucket or GitLab so that when there is a PR or a new branch created, and what that is, it basically replicates those resources into its own environment and then issues you a random domain, .laravel.cloud, that gives you the ability to see changes in real time. And so if you can adapt kind of your working style to use that system, we see this really helpful for SaaS projects and for agencies where they're like, listen, I got a client that I need to demo this to, but I don't want to put it on my staging server because we got to go and fix 6 other conflicts in the GitHub before we could do that. It really just helps a ton to be able to be like, oh, well, hey, there it is. Go look at it. And then the moment that's merged or that PR goes down, it destroys those resources. So you only pay for it for the small amount of time that you're using it.
Mm-hmm. No, I love the cloud preview environments. I'm not just saying it so that Florian doesn't slack me after and is like, Leah, why'd you say you don't like them? No, but I love the preview environments. We use them a lot for the marketing sites, especially like when we started working with an agency to build some of those things as well. Because then whenever a PR is opened, it would like when a PR is opened against the developer main branch, in some cases, it would instantly build a preview environment so that we could then see it and like give critiques on what needs to be fixed. Or like when I was building the sites, I could share it with our PMs and stuff. They could see it. Then we could collab on if the copy needs to change or anything needs to be updated. And then whenever we merge it, like you said, it's destroyed. So it's taken down. You don't have to worry about the cost for that preview environment anymore because now it no longer exists. It was already destroyed. So just very, very convenient, very fast. You're not having to go into the Cloud UI, even though the Cloud UI is great. You're not having to go into it to like build these little preview environments to then share. They're just spun up instantly.
No. Oh yeah, they're really good. If you haven't checked them out, definitely check them out.
Mm-hmm.
They'll make you think differently about how you can even approach your own cycles, and it helps you to get that tight feedback loop from non-technical people, right? Because the argument
Mm-hmm.
before is, well, oh, this is the branch, go pull it down, run it locally, and you might want to hire a designer that doesn't do all of that, and they're excellent at design. It'd be really nice if you could just be like, hey, here's the link, and they go, oh, tweak this, do that, and kind of move that along. So it really, really can help you get some tighter feedback loops.
Exactly. Or like if they are like external, right? Like you're working with an external company, agency,
Yeah,
anything like that.
exactly.
We had okay, there's another question. We're building a HIPAA covered healthcare application. Do you offer a business associate agreement for Laravel Cloud customers?
This is a great question. So we are working towards getting our HIPAA coverage. So trust.laravel.com is where you could see all of the different compliance things that we've met. We have SOC 2. We're currently working through ISO 27001, and HIPAA's coming soon as well. So this is one that we are working on, but currently we do not have the ability to sign a BAA.
Let's see. Roxy said my kids are still trying to ask Santa questions because I think Jason had that app posted on
Yes.
Cloud. Yeah.
I literally only got my daughter to go to bed because I used that app on Christmas Eve. I literally, it was the best thing ever. Shout out on that one for sure.
Both Roxy and Jason are saying that their Laravel Cloud bill has been nice and cheap.
Yeah, I think we have a video out there about how to be economic when you set it up as well. Because I think one thing that's awesome about Laravel Cloud is it's really easy to use, and the one thing
Mhm.
that gets some people in the beginning is that it's really easy to use, and so you can accidentally set 20 replicas, and all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, I didn't mean to do that. And so I think that definitely looking at some of the materials we have on setting it
Mhm.
up so that you don't have it run away is very helpful.
And I'd love to know like if there's any like other um videos or things you'd like to see about cloud that would make it easier to use too, like for us to work on. But I do
Oh
know,
yeah,
like Devon said, there's already like a lot that exists as well. And then we do have the pricing calculator to kind of help with that
yeah.
also. Someone let's we got another Slido question. Let's also like go ahead and answer some of the Slido questions. So the top Slido question is, how does Laravel Cloud integrate with CI/CD pipelines like GitHub Actions?
Yeah, so that has a few different ways that you can go with it. So I'm going to assume that you're talking about how can you basically make something happen after your CI/CD runs, which I think is the most common question I get on this one. So there's kind of two ways that you could set up Laravel Cloud. Actually, three technically. You can turn off all the automatic deployments, and you can go into the console and click deploy every single time. And as I'm talking, there's actually four ways. We do have the APIs in early access, which you can also then create something to go trigger your deployments. That would be a second way. The third way is that you can have it deploy on push, and so you could basically set up some in your if your build commands and deploy commands in cloud can cover your CI/CD, you can just kind of shift that completely there. But if you're using GitHub Actions and you have a lot of steps in there, testing whatnot that you're doing, you can turn on deploy hooks on it and shut off the automatic push to deploy. And so then basically once you're done, you would just get or post to a unique URL, and then that would kick off your deployment from there. So if that's where you were getting at with the question, then that's how you would do that. If that's not there, ask a clarifier, and I'll be happy to dig a little more.
Hopefully they're here in chat too. Also, we have Dan. Hi, Dan. Welcome in from London. I wonder what the weather's like in London. It's really cold here today. So I even converted the temp to Celsius before stream in case like any European UK friends joined. So it's negative 13 degrees Celsius here right now.
That's what is that in Fahrenheit?
8.
8. Yeah,
8.
that's gonna be me next week.
Yeah, I'm cold. Um, let's see. Okay. One other Slido question is any thoughts or plans on integrating Tailscale into cloud? I'm currently using a few tricks to make it work in cloud. Haven't had any issues at this stage. And then the fingers crossed.
Interesting. I would love to know more about what you want integrated in Tailscale. So I do know that we use Tailscale for some of stuff that we're doing um, in cloud for the kind of that VPN kind of network. If you're trying to do something more with only allowing access from the Tailscale network and things like that, we'd love to actually hear that feedback more and see that. We have had great success working with Cloudflare Zero Trust to have that work. So maybe there's just something there with Tailscale we need to look at a little deeper if that's what you want.
Let's see, I'm going to mark these as answered in here. If either of you who asked the question have more follow-up questions based on like our answers so far, feel free to drop those again in the Slido or in chat as well. I'm gonna mark those. Okay. Let's see. Hi, welcome in. It is 8C there where Jason is. I wish it was 8C and not 8 Fahrenheit and negative 13 degrees C right now. Roxy said, ooh, I've been playing with Tailscale recently. What specifically is Tailscale?
That's a great one. It's hard to explain. A lot of people
Okay.
use it as like a private VPN network. That's basically how it sets it up on your phone or on your Apple devices. But it basically creates a private network that you can access from anywhere in the world.
Hmm.
It's kind of how Argo tunnels work on Cloudflare and things. So it just makes an encrypted private network.
Okay. I got you. I scrolled up a little bit because Mohammed had some other questions. Following the recent Cloudflare outage that blocked POS access for our customers, how resilient is Laravel Cloud to such incidents, and what safeguards or failover options exist to ensure continuity?
That is a loaded question, and is also very specific to which Cloudflare outage you're talking about. So there have been a couple. One of them, hopefully, Cloudflare never has that problem again, because that one was unresolved. Was basically a bug that they found. If you read through the entire outcome of that, that was essentially a race condition at the scale that they were at, and so they've now made it so that problem won't be a problem for hopefully another 100 years. For the other one, there definitely is some impact with how Cloudflare did that. I think that there's a few different ways you can get around that. Some of it would with Laravel Cloud would be that you would want to shut off your DNS if you're using Cloudflare, shut off the proxy layer because that's where it was. We do use Cloudflare for our networking layer, so there is some impacts there. I do know that we have some kind of safeguard and backup plans for that. I don't know specifically what they are, but that definitely did teach a lot of people, not just Laravel, but a lot of companies that we need to have some options in place because somebody as big as Cloudflare could cause a huge, massive outage. So
Yeah, and I don't know if this gives more context, but their comment under that was my POS is a critical system with over 500 customers from Maldives. I need a robust solution.
yeah, I definitely would say that if you are on Laravel and your system is there, that Laravel Cloud will offer you the best options for supporting the robust solutions that you need. AWS is the underpinnings of it for our hyperscaler, and so you can kind of set that up and have those, and then there are different scenarios. So Cloudflare is a consideration and whatnot, but of all the options we offer for kind of managed scaling, if you need the best solution with the most kind of resources, then cloud is where it's at.
We also, as someone has said, could be cool to be able to use a custom domain for preview environments. We can't currently,
I
can we?
agree. No, we cannot. And so that actually is an interesting one. I'm going to get really technically nerdy here.
Okay.
So the preview environments, because of the way that they spin up and spin down so fast, we need to be
Mhm.
able to automate the DNS of that. We don't have authoritative control of your custom domain's DNS. So we don't actually have a way to insert and remove those records for that, and that's why they don't offer it today. We are looking at options of how we could potentially do that in the future,
Mhm.
but that is just a how do we manage that and make that foolproof for us to get there.
Yeah. No, I do agree. It would be really cool though. So hopefully, hopefully it's figured out. Roxy said everyone's freaking out because it's supposedly going to freeze this weekend. Yeah, my family's from Florida, and my family in Florida is like, oh my gosh, it's like snowing in parts of Florida and like in Georgia, and like freaking out about it because they're not kind of set up with like snow plows and everything like we are here in Colorado. So you would think it's like the end of the world over there.
Apparently, it's getting so cold in like Wisconsin that they're saying that trees are going to explode, and so there's exploding
What?
tree warnings because of the freezing.
Oh, that is terrifying. Now I understand why people are freaking out a little bit. I'd be freaking out too if you told me there's exploding trees. It feels like something out Lord of the
Exactly.
Rings or something. You know, like where am I?
What in the Harry Potter is going on here?
We had a question. Does Laravel Cloud offer something like zero trust from Cloudflare?
So we don't offer anything directly through that, mostly because your zero trust you're going to want to manage on the edge, which is where you keep control of your DNS. So it does integrate very well with it. You can set that up and make sure that anything that goes to your domain, because if you look at like the different layers of things, you're way out here on this end of it. And so you can actually put zero trust in front of Laravel Cloud.
Let's see. Okay, I did ask that one. And then we got one. How does zero-time deployment work in Laravel Cloud? Is special configuration needed? If so, how does the process work?
So everything on Laravel Cloud is zero down deployment. Basically, the way that it works is it's a Kubernetes orchestrated environment. And so we basically build an image with your build commands and your GitHub repo. Just Git repo. I should be more proper on that one. And so it basically builds that image, persists it to the container registry, and then when it does the deployment, it basically stands up those new ones until they're healthy, and then it rolls it off and then repoints the traffic to the new replicas. And so that allows not only for zero downtime deployment, but for very fast scaling, because we just pull in another one of those images and then scale out horizontally very quickly.
We love that. Let's see. You have to like go back up because I missed questions. Someone said I have a multi-tenant, multi-database application. How would this affect pricing? Would Forge be more suitable in this case?
Interesting. This one depends on what you mean by multi-database. If you are doing multi-database servers, then it's probably going to be cost impactful no matter what, because you're spinning up a new box for every single one. If you're doing multi databases on a singular server or cluster, then it won't really impact pricing that much either way for you, because the server is what you pay the cost for of the database, not necessarily how many databases you're running on it. So you might need to scale up a little faster, but we do have a lot of multi-tenant, multi-database support in cloud that's very successful for scaling. And typically, if you're going multi-tenant, multi-database, you intend for that thing to scale. So it'll definitely help you not having to add a load balancer and kind of do those things. So I'm biased, but I would say go cloud.
They could also use the pricing calculator. I keep saying it, but they could use the pricing calculator to get an idea of how much that would be on cloud, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it depends on your approach, right? Because if you're like, hey, every customer needs their own isolated database server, that cost is going to grow on either option.
Devon, do you want to screen share and show the pricing calculator page real quick?
Sure.
Should I? Just because I keep saying it and just so we're like showing it.
Yes, absolutely. Let me pull it up here.
Because for anyone who's like unsure of how something would be, how much something would cost on cloud, I think the pricing calculator is a great way to kind of play around with it and get an idea. That way you're not just like jumping in instantly, paying everything, and then it turns out more than you expect. And you can kind of like see the different options and ways you could reduce the price as well.
Let's
see. Okay.
Awesome. All right. I can see it's showing up here now. So essentially you have kind of these quick start presets. If you want to be like, oh, I have a personal site, oh, I do e-commerce, it kind of just sets some of the options below for you. So we'll just go with a SaaS application, make it kind of easy here. So you select your region where you want to go. As we add new regions, you'll see these pop in here. And so this will change basically based on pricing of the different regions. Then you kind of select your plan. Your starter is your pay as you go, your growth to $20 per month, or the business, which has a lot more of our features, $200 a month. You kind of choose that, and they'll build it in over here for you. You can choose to show the breakdown, which will give you kind of what the different fees are based on plan compute here. So then you get into kind of your app compute. And so Flex and Pro are the different kinds of compute that you can ship. The main difference between Flex and Pro at a technical level is the oversubscription rate. And so on Flex, more people can basically use the same CPUs on the virtual machine, whereas in Pro, there's going to be a lower, instead of being 3 to 4 people per CPU, it'll be 1 to 2 people per CPU. And if you go into our private cloud, then you get what's called dedicated, which is Pro, and the oversubscription, you're the only subscriber. So that's why it's called dedicated. So it works out great for that. So you could choose the different sizes here. The thing to remember as you're looking at this, as you're migrating from a server mentality to a pod-based mentality, is that you need to set the CPU and RAM for what your app needs, not for what the operating system needs and everything else that goes underneath that. And so a lot of people, this is where I think they think it costs more, is
Mm-hmm.
that they go, oh, well, my server was, 4 CPU and 8 gigs of RAM. That's $100 a month. I only pay, $30 on that. You're like, okay, but does your app need that much? Probably not. Your app will probably only need one CPU and 2 gigs of RAM. You can get that cost down and do that there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so Pro doesn't do hibernation. So you've been talking about this a bunch. So the other thing here is you could say, hey, I am going to have hibernation on those Flex instances. And I think it's going to be hibernating 50% of the time. And so it basically reduces your compute fee. So it's $5 a month if it runs all the time. But if it's only running for half the month, it's $250. And you can kind of set this to where you need it to be for how much hibernation there. And then here's the resources. You can have your MySQL, whether you're doing that on Flex or Pro, same kind of concept with the oversubscription on those. And then you have your storage cost of how big your database is for that and your backups. Your backups are compressed, so take that into consideration as well. And then here's where you can add different things that you need, like, oh yeah, I'm going to have a cache cluster. It's going to be big, where, you kind of build it all out. So definitely check this out, cloud.laravel.com/pricing/calculator. And if you want to get a little deeper into some of the costs, if you're trying to do like multiple docs/pricing, is where you can get kind of granular on all the different sources and things. If you're kind of doing a manual calculation that outscales what the calculator does.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that was a really good call out about some people thinking like, okay, my server is currently this size. So I would need to do that on cloud as well. And then it costs this much more on cloud and not realizing they can like scale down. That like
Yeah.
there is too much. Like they don't need all of that.
Yeah. Or the other one that's really nice is when you're on the pricing calculator here, we'll go back to it real quick. You have the ability to have your app compute and your worker compute spiked out from one another. So if you know that your app it's just an admin for me, most of it is webhooks that process jobs in the background. Great. Let's get a really small flex for when you need to use it. Hibernate it, all the time, because you're only going in there once a month or whatever. But then your worker compute, you make that a little bit of a bigger box and have that kind of separate. And now you can have kind of the difference between your web layer versus your queue layer, which really helps to hone in your cost. Where when you're on a server, it does both, and you've got to scale for both, so you can't kind of spike it out.
Also, Florian had said that you gave a flawless explanation. I think it was for the zero
Zero
downtime
downtime.
deployment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I learned everything I know about that from Florian. So,
Okay. We have some more questions here in the chat, but we also have one in Slido. One in Slido is tricky program space, but any plans for multi-region support or best to hand roll routing from example.com to something like, it might be best if you look at the Slido, but it had in like curly braces, US, EU .example.com/API, etc.
yeah. So, geographic routing is an interesting one. So, Laravel Cloud does not manage your authoritative DNS. So if you want to do geographic load balancing, you can do that from your DNS provider. Route 53 provides excellent ways for you to do it. I believe Cloudflare also has some ways for you to do that. The way you set that up on Laravel Cloud is you create an application in the EU, you create an application in North America, and then you just basically have your individual DNS for those two, and then you point your one main domain to balance that where you need to go. The thing that you're not going to have today, which is coming, we're working on this right now, is having read replicas of databases in those other regions. And so this is something with our RDS that we're coming out with, we'll offer eventually, is that you could have your primary node in, let's say, Ohio, and then you could have a read replica in Ireland. And so now you'll be able to have fast reads from both of those and then have the writes go all the way to Ohio and get the latency that they have. And so that'll allow you to do that. So it's 100% possible today to do that on Laravel Cloud. Just you got to do a little DNS magic on your own.
But it sounds like the stuff that like is kind of in the pipeline to work on will make that a little
everything
easier.
but the DNS. So it'll make the database a little easier to do that. But the DNS of like, hey, this person is coming in from Paris, send them to the Ireland data center. That's always going to be something that you have to manage on the DNS side.
Okay. Gotcha. Let me go. Okay, we answered those. Mohammed had another one. Final question. With MySQL serverless option with private cloud coming this year, will I be able to have read and write note separation? Just want to think, and then just want to thank Laravel Cloud team. You saved hell of cost. We'd love to hear that.
Yeah. The answer to that is yes. You will be able to have read-write separation. We actually are working right now on the RDS, MySQL, and Postgres options that are coming sooner than Aurora serverless is, to have the read-write separation. So that's another one that's being measured, I believe, in like weeks, not months,
Oh
for us to
man.
have read-write separation, and that will be on private cloud first only. So
Mhm.
if you are having a need for that, then you can definitely do that.
That's exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah.
That's very soon. And then someone said, "Hello, sir. I'm a Laravel developer. How to host my project? I'm guessing on Laravel Cloud. How to host my project on Laravel Cloud and pricing."
Yeah. So I go make an account, cloud.laravel.com. Check out the pricing calculator, cloud.laravel.com slash pricing slash calculator,
Do you want
and
to
that'll
screen share
let you
again?
host it. Yeah, I still have it up. Let me grab
Yes.
that.
And then, do
Yeah.
you have Cloud up and logged in? If you want to share like how easy it is to deploy from Cloud,
Yeah, we can do that.
we love UI demos.
Yeah. Off the cuff, you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready. Okay, hold on. There we go. It would
Perfect.
help
So
if I
yep.
showed the screen.
Yeah. So here's the pricing calculator. You can go here and just see how the price will work out for you. Um, if you are coming in new, go back a little bit. I did kind of a walkthrough of how you do this, and you can definitely check that out on the replay on this here. But let's be dangerous. So we're gonna
Oh
sign in
man,
here.
fingers crossed. I did this with the migration stream. Fingers crossed, nothing goes wrong.
Yes. Awesome. So new application, brand new. You have a couple different options here. So you could say, hey, let's create one and let's go off of one of our existing repos here that we have, or let's use a template. So we'll say use a template, and then we're going to call this live demo. And you could set kind of where it's going to be and then where you want to drop this. I'm going to put it in Ohio because it's just the easiest one for me to work with right now. Set that up. And so now what this will do is it's actually going to go out and it's going to create the GitHub repo for us with the name that I gave it. It's going to load the starter kit with the bleeding edge, kind of get that started for you and get going here. And then it's going to also just start the deployment here for us. Then you could go down, you can clone it, kind of do what you want to do, make those changes around here. So just to kind of, as it's kind of doing its thing here, you can see that the deployment's going down here. This is what we call the canvas. And so over here on the left, you have your networking. Here you have your kind of your compute layer, and then here's your resource layer. And so the way to kind of think about this left to right is kind of how the traffic transits in and out. So that's why it's kind of set up visually that way. You want to add a database, you can go in here and say, hey, here's all my existing ones. Do I want to use one of my existing ones? And do I want to create a new database on that? Or do I want to go over here and just create a new database cluster in general? And so you could say, yay, let's make one for live demo. We'll use Laravel MySQL 8, and we're going to put that in Ohio. And then it has some pre-made configurations here for you. So you have your dev, your prod, your scale. But if you really want to get in there and kind of choose your own adventure, it'll let you kind of pick that out here for what you're trying to do to customize that. So then once you kind of choose that, you're going to create the database cluster. It'll pop up down here that's creating it, and it shows here in the canvas. So you'll see here also that it has this, we need to save or save and deploy here. We need to wait for this cluster to finish creating before it'll save. If we try to do it ahead of that, it'll say you're still being created, so give it a minute. And so this basically just creates that database for you to get you started. Oh, and we just went live. So here we go. This is our thing. Issued us live demo main fan here. So perfect. Look at that. Saved. So we're going to save that. So there we go. It's live. That's how fast you can ship.
That quick. And then for pricing too, the like base tier for cloud does not have a subscription fee, and it's kind of pay as you go based on your resources and stuff for your applications as well.
Yeah, and we try to make it very transparent as you're choosing different things. I'm pointing at my monitor like you guys can see. So Fantastic. Here, let me do it the right way. You could see that this is the estimated cost, and so this $4 per month is assuming, or $5 per month on these different ones, is
Mhm.
assuming that this is running 100% of the time. And so if you turn on hibernation and say, "Hey, after 2 minutes of inactivity, I want you to sleep," now that will basically make this so that you'll only, as long as there's no traffic hitting it, it'll go to
Mhm.
sleep, and you're not paying for the time that it's sleeping.
Yeah.
Um, and here we've built in a lot of really cool things. So, hey, you want to run your queue worker on this? You could just go here and set it up. You want to run Horizon? You could just go in here and type that in and set that process to run. And you could run that all just on your app cluster. If you don't want to pay for two different services, one for your queue, one for your app, you
Mhm.
could run that all on here. You want to use the scheduler, just check it on. Makes it really easy. Auto scaling, you want to have this on. Hey, I want at least one. I want it to go up to 10. There you go. And then you could set kind of the thresholds for that. Um, this is actually one of my favorite features we added to cloud. Laravel Octane is one of our packages that allows you to basically run on a Go based server. Caddy is what it's called,
Mhm.
instead of on PHP FPM for your production. And what that does is on PHP FPM, every time you hit a web request, it boots the entire framework and does the cycle every single time. And so that costs precious milliseconds. And so what Octane does is it boots the framework into memory one time and then
Mhm.
handles the requests.
Nice.
Setting that up on a server can get very complex, and figuring out, when do I turn this on, when do I restart it, how do I make sure that the caddy server restarts when I put new stuff in so that we get the new code, and becomes really crazy.
Mhm.
All you do now is composer require Laravel slash Octane and check this box off. We handle all the rest for you. Makes it so easy and gives you a little speed boost on top of your apps here. And then the other one is Inertia SSR, because I used the React Starter Kit and knew we had Inertia. So it gives me the option to just boot that up too, to run that node server to give us server side rendering for better SEO. What
Okay,
other
so
cool
then
stuff do you want me to dive in here?
for one sec, actually, I don't know if you could demo this too. Someone asked, is vertical horizontal scaling in Laravel Cloud configured automatically or manually? Or how does the process work for a similar scenario?
Oh, perfect. So your auto scaling, I kind of answered this. Your auto scaling is going to handle your horizontal scaling. So you just choose how you want it to scale, how many replicas out, and then it will basically manage that based on the CPU and memory thresholds. Um, and then you'll be able to kind of manage that there. Your vertical scaling is manual. And so that's kind of a cost control effort, because your vertical scaling is how big your pod is.
Hmm.
And so basically you're saying, hey, I want at least one pod at this rate. And if there's anything that's outrunning this, this is again your request layer, right? So does your app ever need more than one vCPU and 1 GB of RAM to run the requests that are coming through it? If you're properly managing memory and things like that, and not having memory leaks, that should be good for a lot of people. And so you basically can do that. But if you're saying, hey, we actually have this really crazy thing that boots up, we need more, you vertically scale that way, and then you can set your horizontal scale here. And so horizontal is automatic based on your settings, vertical is a little more manual.
Hmm. Got you. At least that gave us something else to demo demo in our canvas here.
Yeah. On
Um,
that same one, here's a really fun one. Queue clusters, which are currently in developer preview, are probably one of the coolest features that we offer. And so this one, basically the way that you set this up is, this is if you're using just queue workers and you want to make sure that your scaling is intelligent, right? Sometimes CPU and memory are not a great indicator of how fast your queue is actually working based on the demand.
mhm.
And so what queue workers do is you set the size of this here, you set what queue you're going to be running things on, and then your auto scaling is based on you set your replicas, but it's based on your threshold. So the delay in seconds between the time a job is queued and the time it's picked up. And so essentially we measure over time your queue depth and your throughput. And we say, hey, from the time that somebody puts something on our queue to the time that it gets picked up to get processed, I want that to never be less than 20 seconds within reason here. So this gives you the fine grain control. So, but never go over 5 replicas, because I don't want to pay more than for 5 replicas to be running. But this
Mhm.
gives you the ability to intelligently scale that on something that's a metric that's not just CPU and RAM.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
I love queue clusters. I think
Yeah.
they're going to be revolutionary.
Someone else also here. Okay. Someone's asked what's happening here. Hi, Cletus. Welcome in. We're doing an office hours on Laravel Cloud. So Devon was demoing ways to do auto scaling through the Laravel Cloud UI and the interface. Was just talking about queue clusters, all of that. We're basically just answering questions and showing things off in Laravel Cloud. And then there was a question. Thanks, Abati, for sharing your time. Will there be point-in-time restore for Laravel MySQL?
That's a great question. We would love to get point in time recovery for Laravel MySQL. We are currently our RDS option for MySQL will have it out of the gate, but we do not have it currently for Laravel MySQL. Just backups.
What did you say will have it out of the gate?
Our RDS MySQL through Laravel Cloud will have that.
Gotcha. We also got a troll comment. Noel, one of my friends, is I like putting ranch on my cereal and also a bit of ketchup. I really like ranch, so
That's gross. I love ranch, not on my cereal.
I mean not on my cereal either, but I've eaten ranch on spaghetti before.
I mean,
And
that's not bad.
okay.
I'm sure there's some dish somewhere where there's like pasta with ranch that's a delicacy. That sounds actually delicious.
Right.
I might go have
Right.
that for lunch.
It should be a delicacy. Like I think ranch belongs on most things.
Although polarizing one, so I know people put ketchup on their mac and cheese. You're wrong. Don't do that.
No, I
That's
don't like
oh
ketchup. I don't like tomatoes much unless it's like for pasta sauce. Otherwise, I don't
yes,
really like it.
marinara pasta sauce exactly.
Not Florian just saying, "What the hell?" with a smiley face on spaghetti. I mean, it worked. It worked, Roxy. It was like sour cream and ranch. I feel like everything I say just makes me sound more American at this point.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
loading all of that. Our heads are in the clouds. Laravel
Always,
cloud.
always in the Laravel cloud. It's my whole personality. So, taking a look at some of the other cool features here as we're gonna talk, and you can issue commands out here, so you can have the same concept of like your things.
hmm
The logs give you some insight into different things that are happening. I doubt there's any logging in the starter kit, but here you go. You can
Oh, a
kind of
little
see
bit.
some things here. Yeah, this is more about the environment as it was deploying and stuff. Your metrics, this one is probably not going to be great because we have like 3 minutes of metrics.
What
But over
about
time, you'll see that.
how you can set like the build commands and deploy commands and stuff?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
that's really, really cool and helpful.
Yeah. So this is actually on that same note. When you're like, oh man, I need to upgrade from PHP 8.2 to 8.4, this makes it really easy. You check a box and redeploy, and we just use the new image to do it. So as long as you test it locally and it works, it should be as easy as clicking a button and pressing deploy. But to get to the cool part, deploy commands. Oh yeah, reset. So there's kind of two phases. So we talked a little bit earlier about how it's a Kubernetes based environment and we use images. And so
hmm
the way that we make the scaling really, really fast is we build your image ahead of time and then we scale that image. And so your build commands are all the things that happen before the image is finalized and stored to the registry. And so this is where you do your composer installs, you do your CI build, you kind of build your assets. If you need to pull in other things, you kind of do this all here.
hmm
Then your deploy commands are what happen on a deployment of that image. And so these happen one time on the actual deployment, not on the scaling activities. So this is where you would put things like, hey, run my database migration and things like that. And so these give you kind of the two separate things. These essentially support any bash that will run that will
hmm
run in a basic shell. And so you can kind of build this out. So kind of going back here where we were talking, how do we run this in CI environments? This is where you would turn off your push to deploy, turn on your deploy hook, have this here. Or if your things that you need to do can run, you could do them right here. I'm going
hmm
to call out Florian in the chat. I believe it's 15-minute timeout for build and deploy commands. Um, so you have a little bit of time there, but it can't just run forever. So I want to be running massive testing suites here. Keep that in your GitHub Actions.
hmm
But if it's quick and dirty, you can get it done right here.
Also, hi Kyle. Kyle said, "Hey Devin," and "Hey Leah." Um, Devin, I think also it would be a good time right now to call out the like build commands that are like auto ran on cloud for people who
Yes.
are like migrating. Like I know when we were migrating the Laravel news website, there were some commands that Eric was running before for the Forge setup that he didn't need to run with Cloud because they're already ran by default.
Yes, there are a few of those. Let me go get those out of the docs. So we're gonna doc dive right here. I believe it's in environments. I actually just updated these the other day. So
So you should know them
this is a good
well.
one. Well, I know one of them very well. So the build
Hypothetically.
commands here. Yes, exactly. So build and deploy commands is under the environment section here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a highlight here. If you're doing the config cache or optimize, you want to do this during the build process, not the deploy process, because again, that cache of those files and things, that happens before we store the image. Once we've stored the image, when we do replica scaling, anything that you do to those will only happen on that one pod. And so that's why you want to do those things before here. Some of the other ones, if you're doing anything with dynamic environment variables, you need to recache. So one of the commands that we do for you automatically is that we do cache the config.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the other caches that you want to do, like views and things like that, we don't do. So you would have to run those if those are there. We do actually find that you don't need to run those as much in a Kubernetes-based environment as you do on a VPS. They're pretty performant anyways because it's focused to just the app.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of dealer's choice on those now, where they used to be absolutely necessary on a server. These are the big ones, though. You don't need to restart your queues. You don't need to terminate Horizon. You don't need to clear the optimization to then re-optimize if you're doing that. And you don't need to link the storage. So I'll kind of go one by one, two by one here, because the first two are together, and explain why you don't need to do these. So the reason you don't need to do a queue restart or Horizon terminate is because the long-running processes are on the pods. And when you do the auto scaling or you do a deployment and it issues a new pod, it is a brand new pod. We are going to scale in the new one, make sure it's healthy, scale out the old one, and kill it. So there is no way that that's continuing to run old code like it was on a server where you need to be like, hey, you booted this into memory, reboot it. That doesn't happen because it is a brand new pod. And so kind of the way to think about that is that every single time you do a deployment, it's a brand new server. And so that's why these first two commands don't need to be redone. The optimize clear, kind of the same thing. It's a brand new server. You don't need to clear it because there is no memory that it was optimized before. So you don't need to run this again. You only need to run the optimization, the build command. And then storage link is the one that gets real fun. So this is, again, the pods have ephemeral storage. So the file system, once the build step is done and we've saved that off, there is no file storage that is persistent between different pods other than using object storage. So this is where you want to go to S3 or R2, or we offer Laravel object storage right through Cloud to make it really easy for you. And so the symbolic link actually doesn't persist. And so this is, again, something if you were using a server, you were taking advantage of that file system you had available to you because you had a server, you would use that command. But in this new one, you would use the S3 based file systems, which scale a lot better than file systems on one server does. Obviously, one server doesn't scale to multiple servers. So that's another command that you don't need to run anymore that helps out.
And then because you were talking about file storage and S3 and everything, I know Joe Dixon on the stream Wednesday mentioned like R2
Yes.
storage with Cloud.
Yeah, so R2 is Cloudflare's version of an S3 compatible object storage. If we want to get really nerdy, what object storage is, it's basically a giant JSON map, and the key is the file path, and the value is the base 64 or the pure raw value of the file. And so it's very fast and very efficient. And what it's really great for from both AWS and R2 and all the other providers that make this S3 compatible storage is it can live on the edge and it can live in basically global state and have really good redundancy. And so I believe a lot of them offer like 7 nines data resiliency and whatnot. And so Laravel object storage that we offer through Cloud is powered by R2 through Cloudflare, and is very cost effective and helps a lot. And we auto inject those in when you use our storage. So you don't even have to think about how do I set up the keys and the things and this and that. We'll handle it all for you through Laravel object storage.
Very cool. Let's see. I feel like I'm just staring at this page, like thinking of all the other cool things we could go over as well. But we're kind of going up on the hour here, so we should probably start wrapping up.
Yeah.
For the stream. I guess quick recap of what we covered on the stream. We answered a lot of questions about Laravel Cloud. In the beginning, we briefly reviewed like what is Laravel Cloud, who it's good for, what are some reasons you might want to migrate your app from like Forge or somewhere else to cloud. We also talked about zero downtime deployments in cloud. We're just talking about the build commands that are ran on default with cloud, and Devon did some great kind of UI demos of it. What, you got him by making him look into the source?
Yep. Same. That's what I would have to do to answer it.
I feel like part of the stream was just Devon trolling Florian.
It's Florian trolling me. Let's be real, guys.
Okay, it goes both
Florian's the
ways.
troll. He's a very
What
nice
are
troll.
that is true. Very nice troll. What are some like key takeaways you'd want someone to take from this stream, Devon, and about cloud in general?
Yeah, I think one of the main things that I have a lot of conversations with customers about is they're like, oh, I want to go to cloud, but and I a lot of times it's there, or
Mhm.
there's a clever way that we can get around that. And so I think that one of the things is if you're growing and you're thinking about where do I want to go in the future with this, and I really would love to use cloud because it would allow me to not have to staff four DevOps engineers and really help me focus on shipping and use those preview environments. If you've got questions, ask them.
Mhm.
If you're out there, go poke around. If you're big out there on our enterprise page, there's a form you could fill out to have somebody talk to you. It says talk to one of our experts. You might get me. I'm one of those experts. So that's that's definitely something. Is be inquisitive and check
Mhm.
it out because cloud has a lot of power that it's hard to just explain.
Yeah. And like showing up to things like this and asking questions if you're unsure, because we are trying to make the office hours a more regular thing of either every week or every other week. And we'll have a lot of cloud specific office hours. So feel free to drop your questions. Like this time I shared a Slido in advance. So anytime you see that, feel free to drop any cloud questions you have in there. I'll probably drag Devon back on stream for those as well. And we can keep answering your cloud questions. We mentioned the website a lot during the stream. So just a reminder, if what you saw today feels useful or you want to play around with Laravel Cloud, the best next step is to check out the sign up page for Cloud, which you can just go get to that by going to cloud.laravel.com and hitting the sign up button. That'll take you to a sign up page, and that's where you can sign up and get started with cloud. We also mentioned the pricing page a lot, which you can use, or the pricing calculator page, which you can use to kind of calculate your costs and get an idea. And if you want to learn more about the VPC peering, private cloud, and all of that Devon was talking about a lot as well, you can go to the enterprise page just by clicking the enterprise tab on the cloud website or going to cloud.laravel.com/enterprise as well. And just keep submitting your questions for future office hours. Keep asking about cloud. I'll try to find the questions and we can cover them next time. Thank you so much, Devon, for being here today. If you want to go ahead and tell people where they can find you offline.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. I love talking about cloud. I love talking about Laravel. This has been great to be here. If you're looking for me, I am on X, dgarbs51 underscore, because somebody has dgarbs51 and forgot their password. Then he's a real jerk, but happens. So that's me.
Was
I
it
forgot
you? Yeah.
it. So yeah, dgarbs51 underscore, and I'm happy to field any questions you have about cloud and get you going. So feel free to hit me up out there.
Should just ping him nonstop on Twitter.
I love
Yeah,
it.
thank you, Florian, for being here. Thank you, Chris, for being here and your questions. Thank you, Roxy. Have a good day. Thank you, everyone. Um, bye. I will be back Monday. Almost forgot this one. I'll be back Monday for another live stream with Jason McCreary, aka JMac, of going over Laravel Cloud pre-check, which is a way to check if your application is ready to be deployed on Laravel Cloud as well. Um, that's right? Or do you want to add
Yeah,
something
no,
else to
that's
pre-check?
that's
Okay.
100%. Yeah, so it's I worked pretty closely with JMac on kind of what that is and just looking for some of those things that are and aren't compatible with cloud and giving some opportunities and efforts. And so it'll be a
Mhm.
shift that you can run to see if you're ready for cloud. And so definitely check that out. He's going to go. I believe you guys are launching it on Monday, right?
Yeah, it's launching
Yeah,
like on stream. Yeah. So if anyone
yeah,
has questions about that, or if you had questions today about like, is my application ready for cloud? How would I check that? That would be a great stream for you to tune in as well and learn more about that. And we did a stream on Wednesday with Eric Barnes and Joe Dixon on Migrating Laravel news from Forge to Cloud. So maybe go back and watch that replay if you're curious about a migration to cloud. And thank you all for being here. Bye.